Action.
This
Clap.
There we go. Rack Noble for Boxing UK, sponsored by Supreme CBD. Here with Sonny Edwards. Last time I saw you was out in America, living it up, doing the media rounds. Talk us through your week. How's it been going?
I'll be real, Rack, yeah? This last 10 days, since whenever I set foot or started my journey to America, it's been like a boxing holiday I've never seen before. I mean, every single day there's been some sort of boxing or some media. But you know me, I enjoy all of that. So, you know, there's been like half an hour of work, 23 and a half hours of wherever I want in, you know, Florida, nice hotel, nice backdrop. In London, nice hotel. Move around, nice hotel. Been taken here, events, everywhere. It's been really nice. I even pulled up here today in Eddie Hearn's Rolls Royce. So I really feel like I'm going up in the world, little scruffy kid from Croydon. What do you mean?
Living the life. All the time you was banging on Twitter, you deserve this, you're meant to be here. And here you are, living it up.
Twitter fingers and the trigger fingers, you know what I mean?
It happened, man. You made it real. You made it real. But of course, as much pleasure as there is the business of it. You came face to face with Mr. Bam Rodriguez for the first time. What was it like meeting Bam Rodriguez?
But that's the biggest part of the pleasure. What do you mean? I feel like the fight is what I live for. That's what I'm addicted to. People think and assume that, you know, boxers are only in it for the money, or they're only in it to walk down the street and people don't know who they are, picture that. For me, that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't really gain anything. I know this for myself. I don't gain any like external reward. I mean, external, intrinsic reward from external things happening to me. Me getting in there against someone I know to be a good fighter and proving it to myself, and yeah, I'm that guy and I'm him, and that means everything. Like, everything else just happens around it. I feel like that's why I've always lived a nice life and a nice pattern of life, because I've never been chasing, oh, this fight needs to make sense for me to do this or buy a house, or like to make people think I'm this. Like, I just like a fight. Win, lose or draw, I want to win. I'm a competitor. I'm so autistically competitive about any and everything. Like, I want to win, but I want to win fairly. I want to win properly. The sport is the only centre. If I have to cheat or go around the house to get it, what's the point of even competing? I've cheated myself of that. Like, the actual feeling of winning something fairly and sitting back when you get back to your... There's that feeling after you have a big fight, and it's been away, especially when it's away, and after the whole circus and build-up, and you sit back down in your house, and I live alone, so it can be quite an empty, lonely house. But you know that feeling of just sitting down and the job is done. It's like, and you know that you've done it with a clean heart. I would never take that away from myself in any which way. So the actual competition, the actual winning the fight and fair play means more to me than the money, the fame, the fortune, the material things I can buy, or the places I can get to, or, you know what I mean? It's a little like, I'm addicted to it, you know? Like, I'm addicted to that actual feeling of having a fight, winning the fight, competing, and actually overcoming stuff. I feel like I don't want it easy. That's like, the one thing about me is, I'm not doing it for the money, so I'm not just looking at the, you know, the easiest, quickest route to the bag. Like, I'm looking for the fights, like the challenges around the world. Like, who do you think is the best and where are they? You know what I mean? That's generally my mindset. Like, you know, like Dragon Ball Z, and they'd have like the champions from all the different places, and then they'd have them fighting tournaments where they'd come from there,
Power
come from there. That's how I see this. Like, I want to be the guy. And if I'm not, I want to see how far I can get before I am. Do you know what I mean?
Well, so far you've been doing so. Of course, picked up the WBO European, picked up the British, picked up the world, took on a very serious challenger, undefeated in almost around 9 years' time. Went up to Dubai, defended your titles, took on some very tough opposition, and now you're in that position where you are being called one of the best, you are being compared to some of the best, and you've got a few headline fights potentially in your career in the next couple of years.
I've already had like hard fights though, like you mentioned the 9 years, I'm not sure which one, because Mavritti was unbeaten in 13 and Alvarado was unbeaten in 8, and most of their wins was at world level and knockout. So like, I got in and sort of, and bear in mind, these are fighters that have nothing to lose because they're so good, but from place of the world without that proper big backing. They're just good fighters that no one really wants to fight. So anyone at times got a marketable platform like me, you never see these good fighters because they avoid them. You know what I mean? But I've now managed to be the hard fight, but probably the biggest fight in the division. Now I'm with the promoter, me and Eddie, and he's got all the fighters around these weight classes. Like, it's very hard for them to avoid me. Trust me, yeah. If I wasn't with with Eddie would have tried to make this fight, but not as hard because I'm not his fighter, and we wouldn't have made it. Trust me, and me and Eddie both know that. So we know where the confidence level is, where the mindsets are. They sort of got backed into this because they weren't really given the alternative option, because this is what the zone wanted, this is what the promoters wanted, and this is what the fighter should have wanted, you know?
One thing of talking of the zone, you was there last week on Saturday. Conor Benn didn't make his return to the ring. He did shake off the rust. Are you guys now friends? What's the status between you two guys? Because it's been a bit back and forth. What's the current status between you guys? You buddies, you pals?
Yeah, best friends.
Best friends?
Yeah, he's going to fly out and join camp in America with me and make sure I've got good experience in my corner. Nah, if I'm honest, as you know, Rack, I'm a social commentator, and unfortunately my opinions spill out onto not only when asked, like, because sometimes I'll be sat there and I'll be annoyed at what I'm reading and I want to react to it. I want to give people my opinion and put my say on it. And like I said before, for me, the highest possibility is that someone somewhere around tried to gain an unfair advantage. With that being said, right, he has spent, before that fight, 15, 16 months or whatever out of the ring, hadn't competed, yeah, since he failed the drugs test. Lost out on his biggest payday, had his name tarnished, but because he didn't get actually banned from the UK, because he was suspended, the suspension was lifted, because he didn't have a license, he's now been allowed to get a boxing license on some other part of the world. That is always available to happen. Like, what global governing body, like, in the world outside of boxing could have that much jurisdiction to just pull that much power? And a boxing governing body, what are you expecting them to do? Like, yes, you can start pointing some and question, but when there's constant examples, go back through the record book, all the fighters you adore and, you know, champion now. I'm not going to name them because some of them are still actively around boxing, but the amount of foul drugs tests left, right and centre for all the best fighters that come out of Britain and America. And unfortunately, especially for someone like me that generally does it clean, I can hand on heart say that. The reason why I don't try and use my physical attributes to win fights ever is because you never know what you're getting in with. Mentally, I know I'm smarter than everyone at my weight in boxing and probably other weights. I don't know why I think it, I just do. I feel like I read boxing like, you know, when Neo hits the Matrix and you see it in 0 and 1. When I'm explaining boxing, yeah, and speaking about it, I can close my eyes and that's what it looks like in my head. It seems so simple. Every step, every movement, every slight muscle twitch, every facial reaction, every slight change of energy. It's like, it just seems so simple to me, like, especially once I know I've got a center gauge of a fight. Every fight is different. Once you've got a barometer, like a gauge, a measuring stick, you can read fighters. They're so predictable because they're thinking about just the fight. They're not thinking about hiding what they're thinking or what they're feeling. They're thinking about getting to them, and they show it in their facial expressions. It's a very vulnerable place to be in a boxing ring. You're having a fight. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to fake things in a fight. I just don't get how fighters don't see what I see, and the ones that really do see what I see, they rate me very highly, I think. The ones that don't, they might fall down, though. He doesn't punch very hard, or he just is a back foot boxer, he just does this. But the ones that really, really are on board with this boxing thing, I think they know, if nothing else, I'd probably be one of the most awkward and hardest to beat fighters that's not going to knock you out.
Talking of fighters, of course, the next fight in your list is Bam Rodriguez. How do you feel that fight's going to play out? Because, of course, you've now seen Bam. He's, I think, a bit bigger than maybe you expect him to be.
Bigger? Height-wise, maybe not.
Size-wise, he did look a bit bigger. The weight, the face.
He looks a bit wide, or it looked a bit heavy on the scales, but I wouldn't say he looked big. To me, that's not big. Just because Canelo's getting in the ring against Charlo and making Charlo go up 14 pounds doesn't actually make Canelo the bigger man to Charlo. Because once upon a time, Canelo was, what, 140? 147 comfortably. Just because he's now like gone up in weight doesn't actually make him the bigger man than Charlo.
Okay, so after
so just because he's a heavier, like, I've gone up to 67.8 kilos before, the heaviest I've ever stepped on scales. 14 weeks to the day that I boxed Thomas Asomba, lockdown. Because I went up to 68 kilos, I know some super featherweights that have never gone up that heavy. Don't make me a bigger fighter than them because I managed to put my body to fat. You know what I mean?
Fair point.
I could go up to 100 kilos if I got really wide.
But after seeing Bam face to face, How are your mind as now as the fight play out? Does it change anything from not seeing him before?
I knew he was uneasy around me. Twice, there was big efforts made by Matchroom to get him to come over to the UK to announce this fight. When I fought Campos in the ring, head-to-head, straight after I won, didn't want to come. AJ fight, media work, fight week, I was there, meant to do press conference, didn't want to come. So we had to get him proper, like, he didn't want to make as much of it as possible and catch a couple of flights, have a little holiday. So I already knew the weariness of being around me was there. I think, you know, there's a video that's captured by Boxing King. As soon as I seen he was in the same room as me, just the way I am, to go show my opponent respect, go shake their hand, like, we're about to be around each other a lot, like, what's the point of making it weird and doing it in that? Go shake the hand, and maybe, yeah, get a little gauge, but not even for that. He looked uneasy then on the press conference, didn't really say much. I was a bit disappointed that I was wanting a second press conference, but to my knowledge, they made sure there wasn't. Oh, what's going to get said on the second one? What's going to get done? You know what I mean? So who knows if that's the truth or not, but you know, he was clearly very weary around me, especially, but you know, I'm nice, we're cool, we played table tennis, we had a little laugh, had some off-the-camera conversations as well, spoke to his father, very respectful, you know, asked after his brother, etc. Like, at the end of the day, the way you chop it up, yeah, I need Bam to get to the ring on the 16th of December to collect that nice, massive bounty on his head and all the exposure and all the attention and all the credit that goes with it. I'm trying to build a legacy to leave my mark in the sport. It's not for the fame, it's not for the fortune. You know, the big fights, you win them, it explodes more. So this is that. I've tried to build and promote the fight, but there's not much to go on. If he's being nice, what do you want me to do? Start shouting him and be horrible? Like, it's just not in my character. It's not in my nature to do that. I react to what's in front of me. Be good to me. I'll be better to you. I try.
Well, it's a unified world title fight between two of the best in the division, two very highly titled fighters. In some ways, with Matchroom behind it, I think it's going to sell itself. All looking forward to it in December. Any last words you'd like to say out there to Bam?
Not specifically to Bam, more to everyone that's getting excited, buying tickets. You know, I had a private conversation with Eddie, and he was a bit surprised at how the pre-sale and the access tickets went straight away. Like there's a bit of attention about this, and I feel like people don't realise that I've got more of a space maybe in American boxing. Maybe I haven't realised, but the internet's a small place. I'm up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning most fight nights, talking and tweeting and reacting or Twitter spacing. Like,
shout out to Chicken Talk.
Yeah, shout out Chicken Talk. Like, for real though, like, spend like 3, 4, 6, 10, 12 months dropping in them. You're speaking to some of the people that you're gonna be seeing at the fights, and when they go away from that conversation, they're gonna be bringing your name into those conversations. It's the spiral effect, and I think people that are really around me and maybe now jumping into the story probably see my star potential just because of how I generally move around this world. I'm not a bad guy. I don't think I'm a superstar. I don't hide away. I enjoy being around. I enjoy being one of the people. I enjoy having the conversations. You know what I mean? You'll see me in places you don't expect me doing things you don't expect me to be doing. I'm a normal person, and that will always stay the same, because the moment you start thinking just because of one part of your life, you're special, like, everything else can fall apart very, very quick. I still need to be a good father. I still need to be a good human being. I still need to be a good friend. You know, I still have those responsibilities outside. When I get in the boxing ring, I'm half decent and I can talk a little bit, so now people want to interview, like, and maybe someone likes boxing a bit and asks for a picture. That's the experience. Maybe women are a little bit easier to get, you know what I mean? That's the experience. But how am I any different? But at the end of the day, you get more, you can spend more, and you can lose more. And then it's a quicker route to the bottom than it is climbing. So treat everyone with respect. If they treat you with respect, you know, treat them better. That's why, Rack, if I see you, I will always give you an interview. Yeah. I don't like fobbing people off. I don't like saying no. But obviously, when I was bouncing around and I was in the middle, you didn't catch me at the show. I said, you check me later, 100% interview. I was walking in at 2:30 in the morning with a companion, yeah. And I stopped and did a 20-minute interview or whatever it was for you at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because I gave you my word. And why? Because you're a grafter. You're there still amongst it. Like, that you get in behind those people and you give them sort of the people access. I can't wait until that turns into one of those big ass cameras that all these other people have got. I can't wait for that day. I might sponsor the channel. What about Supreme CBD? What are they doing? You know what I mean?
Hey, we'll talk about off camera, but
you know what I mean? We'll do it.
Possibly. Get us out to America. We'll cover the fight.
You know what I mean? I might need that. I might not. I'll be right. I got some big plans, yeah. And I think it's my time to start stepping on the media toes. You know what I mean? Everything's planned, nothing by accident. And yeah, I might need someone, Rax. You know what I mean? I might be poaching someone here, but freelance. I know a lot of how it goes. You know what I mean?
Mate, you got my Twitter handle. You got my number. Call me in. We'll talk. We will sign out.
We'll work it out, man. We'll work out some retainers.
Yeah, Sally. Thank you for your time. All the best for December. We'll stay locked in.